The group leader is responsible for assigning all of the different parts of the project to all of the different group members. So the group members should really sit down with the rubric that has all of the points for the entire project and make sure that each group member is getting about the same number of points possible. The group leader also has a second responsibility, and that's for making sure everything is turned in on time. So as soon as it comes near the due date, the group leader can remind everyone and make sure that everyone is getting everything turned in on time. And if something is not turned in on time, the group leader needs to investigate immediately, find out why, and then reassign the parts to the different group members if that one group member is not going to come through. And let me know so that I can remove that group member from your group so that you won't have to experience that again. The other group members, everyone except for the group leader, are responsible for getting their parts done on time. And of course, it's imperative to get your part done on time and make sure that you are holding up your end of the group. It's also important to make sure that you're doing high quality work. So don't just do the work and do it very well. If you have any questions about how to do something, you can ask your other group members, and you should really all be in constant communication with each other. You should all exchange your cell phone numbers and be calling and texting, posting on D2L, but also have an instant way of getting in contact with every single member of the group. You also need to have online group meetings, so every group member will be turning in their stuff, not on the due date, but at least 24 hours before the due date. And the group leader can say exactly when all of the people need to turn in their parts, but it needs to be at least 24 hours before the real due date so that you can have this online group meeting. And the online group meeting should be the day before or the day of the actual due date, and you should allow plenty of time, at least 12 hours before the due date, so that you have time to make corrections. And what you will do is you will sit down with an entire draft of the project, everybody's parts that are put together, and the group leader organizes that and puts them together and does the wrapping up portion, and you look at the entire project and you grade it by the rubric. So every single group member will have the first draft of the project and the rubric, and they will grade step by step and make sure that every single part of the rubric is answered and answered perfectly and answered correctly. There will not be any credit given at all for incorrect work. So the work must be correct in order to receive any credit. Every group member is responsible for doing that, and the group meeting is where you give all that sort of feedback. So if you have a problem with anything, you bring it up in the group meeting, you discuss it, you edit the report so that it's correct, and then you will submit that corrected report to the Dropbox. For this project, I want you to use Microsoft Word and your calculator, and that's it. Do not use Excel, and the reason I say don't use Excel is because students have had real problems with Excel in the past. They think that they've got the frequency table right, and it's usually completely wrong if they do it in Excel based on the raw data, because the frequency table is quite a bit different from the raw data. It's really hard to get the histograms to be exactly like the book specifies them to be in Excel. It's actually much easier to go ahead and just do everything in Word. So that's what I highly, highly, highly recommend doing. Don't use Excel at all, just use Word. Inside Word, you've got Insert Table for your frequency table, and you've got Charts, Insert Charts for your histograms, your bar charts, and your pie charts. And then when you're doing the box plot, you can even use Insert Shapes. So insert a shape, and you can insert lines for the whiskers and insert rectangles for the box part. And then use your calculator for all of your calculations. So 1var stats, linreg, all of that sort of thing will do your calculations for you. In Project 2, we're going to redo most of what we've done in Project 1 in Minitab rather than using your calculator and using the graphs and charts in Word. To get credit for Project 1, you really need to be using Microsoft Word and your calculator. When you answer a question, or when you put in a chart, or when you put in a table, be absolutely certain that you're doing it correctly. You will get absolutely no credit for incorrect work. You might get partial credit if it's partially correct, but no credit if it's completely incorrect. It's worth your time to go and look up in the lecture notes, to go and look up in the examples in the book, to make sure you're doing this work and doing it correctly so that you will actually get credit. Also be professional. This is a report, and a report is paragraphs of information along with some visuals, some charts, and some tables inserted into the report and formatted professionally with professional headings, and it can be broken down into parts, but you need full and complete paragraphs, you need good grammar, you need good punctuation and spelling, you need to have a very professional appearance. Don't be slackers. So we've talked about if you miss a deadline that you'll actually get kicked out of your group, and you may not be able to find a group willing to take you on after that. And these projects are group projects, so they cannot be done individually. So if you miss out on a group, you may be missing out on the full 15% of your grade for the entire course. So absolutely one of the most important things that you can do in this course is to be a good, positive, proactive group member. Even if you don't miss a deadline, if you turn in poor quality work, that will be reflected in your peer evaluations and in your grades. So you can get between 0 and 50% of the group grade for your individual grade, depending on the quality of work and the amount of work that you've turned in. If you do have questions about how to do something or want clarification, all you have to do is ask. Ask your group members, ask me and D2L on the discussion board, email me. Really, I want you to ask if you need any help, any questions, any clarification, or any feedback before you actually turn in the project. And don't forget to do your peer reviews. They need to be completed once you've turned in the report. You should immediately, when you go to the Dropbox to turn in the report, go to Surveys under D2L and complete your peer reviews. You should do peer reviews for projects 1, 2, and 3.